If you're new to this channel, this is where we talk about property investing, share smart investing strategies, and anything property related. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe, smash that like button. All right, now let's get into today's question. Today's question comes from Alaska, and Alaska's question is, we've always had the dream of having a holiday home. Do they make good investments? I get this question asked a lot. Let's unpack this one a little bit further. Thanks for that one, Alaska. I guess to touch on, the investing or the holiday home, got a little picture here in terms of, I'm not sure if you're following along, you're familiar with that one, but that's actually the Bonnie Doon home from the castle. We're going to Bonnie Doon. But funnily enough, that's actually an Airbnb you can actually rent out these days. But there's a few things, I guess, that you need to kind of consider when you're going down that route. I guess, firstly, why you're actually buying the property. Because, are we doing this to make money, or are we doing this for personal, emotional reasons? Now, I guess, don't confuse the two, because I'm not saying that we shouldn't make emotional decisions to buy when we're buying an investment. But what I'm saying is it's important that for the property or for family reasons or for retirement purposes, then having a holiday home can make perfect sense, because you might have a certain location where you guys actually want to retire in later on. So you want to have a hedge of that market where you want to treat it as a holiday home every now and then and go there, and then eventually going to downsize and sell the family home. Maybe it makes sense then. But I mean, from my experience, people are normally going out and buying these holiday homes because they like having a holiday, or they had one or two good experiences there, and they think, oh, how great would it be to have a holiday home there right now, and we can go there all the time, when the reality is, firstly, the times that you're going to be able to go there in general are going to be school holidays, public holidays, when essentially you can go out there, and that would be essentially the peak times of when you can actually use it for an Airbnb as well. So you're going to be able to go there when you're trying to actually normally get your highest occupancy rates. The other times, you're not necessarily going to have that booked out. Also, something to keep in mind as well with the Airbnb, there's a lot more taxes and legislations coming in because there's such a shortage on homes that short-term rentals are being really analysed by a lot of state governments at the moment. But also, too, are you going to get sick and tired of having this, this one investment property to go, or the same spot to go to time and time again? Because for most people, they're not necessarily wanting to go on holidays. So you almost become a slave to that. Someone in the team here, that they had their own investment property down in coastal Victoria, where it basically became like, I have to go down there every so often because I feel obligated, because I bought this, and not necessarily not doing it because out of the enjoyment at that point. So it's really important to keep that in mind. And I guess the other thing to keep in mind is in terms of, what are the occupancy rates going to be? Like, is it going to just be easier to rent it out? Because in my experience, when dealing with clients, when they've had these Airbnb type properties, the ones that typically do pretty well are in holiday destinations by the coast, and they absolutely boom during those seasonal periods. But there's professional subscriptions like AirDNA, where you can check the average occupancy rate. You can check the average daily rate. You've got to know local cleaning fees, understand management fees. Once you take all those fees into account, it can stop being a passive investment moving forward as well. It's almost like a little business or side hustle that you got to manage. So you got to see if it fits within your scope. For a lot of people that I've spoke with, they found it to be too hands-on. They ended up just turning it into a long-term rental, just like a standard investment property. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And then in terms of understanding, it's not like a long-term rental. You're going to have bad guests and property damage because there's so many people that aren't really necessarily accountable coming home. You might get noise complaints because maybe it becomes a schoolie's Airbnb without you even realizing. So pretty quickly, your neighbors become frustrated. There's frequent turnover, loud guests, police are rocking up. Again, I touched on the regulatory compliance as well. You got to be untouched of bad reviews, because you get a few bad reviews, people aren't going to be booking your home. Theft, cancellations, potential squatters. All of these things are things you need to be mindful of when you're looking to go down that route. And having a bit of a contingency plan in place as well, because what happens if the guests forget to put the bin out, or the cleaner doesn't come and you're in your busiest period, or the host just isn't working out. So you really need to like I said, for me, it's not an investment that I have a lot of interest in. I think people are normally just trying to tie in. I want to invest. I want the practical side of my brain working and my money growing, but I can't let go of this emotional side. They marry the two up. But again, they're not necessarily always a good fit. So it's something to take in mind and consider from time to time as well. Because the other thing that the locals, Byron Bay during COVID was a great example of that in terms of all these people fleeing Victoria and New South Wales to get up to Byron Bay, like other locals going to take kindly to that property now becoming an Airbnb. So there's just so many, for me, good investing is about reducing your risk on an asset. And for me, I've just got too much risk that I'm taking on. For every one person that I've heard that their Airbnb is absolutely smashing it and making them a killing, I've probably come across 20 or 30. So we're talking about a very, very small margin rate. So for me, it's just not somewhere where I would really like to be parking my money. But you've got to ask yourself, is this for an investment? Is it for emotional purposes? Is it actually also in an area that's going to be getting me good growth? Like, am I investing for growth or emotion? So there's a few things to factor in, but thanks for your question. And thanks for watching today. So if you haven't already, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit like, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.